Holy snapping bra straps.
It's a podcast.
Coming to you almost live from the heart of the Republic, this is Republic of Avalon Radio. Republic of Avalon Radio. It's 0 hours Avalon Standard Time.
Republic of Avalon Radio.
You're with the roar!
Bada bing. This is Republic of Avalon Radio. I'm Jim Fiddler, and I'm very happy to be here. Hopefully you guys are happy to be here as well. I guess I'll just start out by letting you know a little bit about this whole thing. Where's this coming from? What's the idea? In terms of myself, well, why I'm so happy to be here is because I've been a radio buff since I was a little tiny fella. When I was about 2 years old, I guess I got my first radio, little transistor radio, and I used to listen to stations in the nighttime. Listen to WINS in New York, WNEW in New York, WWVA, Wheeling, West Virginia, WBAL in Baltimore, WTIC in Hartford, Connecticut, WABC in New York, all kinds of stations in the nighttime. Used to tune around the dial and listen. Then when I was about 5 years old, 5 or 6, something like that, I discovered the most marvelous thing. One time when I was changing my 9-volt battery by taking the back off of this little powder blue, what was it? I think it was maybe like a Westinghouse transistor radio. I remember it had a big white W on it. While changing the battery, I discovered that by touching the circuit board, this very strange thing happened. I started hearing all these crazy languages, Chinese and Russian and German and Swedish and Yiddish and all kinds of stuff. And apparently what I was doing at the time, I didn't know what I was doing, but what I was actually picking up the harmonic frequency of shortwave stations in the AM broadcast band, holding my finger on the circuit board. And I'll tell you, because it was a harmonic, there was no width to it. So when you turn the channel knob, in other words, just moving at the half breadth of a hair, well, you'd be completely off the station. So I spent many hours with my finger on the circuit board, the back off the radio, and my thumb affixed to the channel knob, trying to hold it steady, because drift, boy, you want to talk about drift. This wasn't just kind of an electronic drift. This was a physical drift. I mean, it was like a little transistor radio. But that did me fine until I was about 7, I guess, maybe 7 or 8 years old. at that time, I really moved up in the world. I got an old police band radio. It was AM, FM, the VHF spectrum, which included, the police and fire and ambulance and all that stuff. As well, I think I could pick up a TV channel, the audio from a TV channel. CBC at the time would have been, and the other station that we had, Jeff Sterling's station, NTV, or CJON it was at the time, before they had coined that NTV thingy. You could pick that up on the FM, and still can to this day in the regular FM broadcast band. Now, so not to get too off on a tangent here. That police band radio also had shortwave 1 and 2. So I was really doing quite well. I was a happy camper at that point. I had shortwave 1 and 2. So I didn't have to hold my finger against the circuit board anymore. The drift on this radio was definitely present, but nowhere nearly as severe as with the transistor radio and the harmonic frequency on the AM band. And there was also another little fine-tuning little knob there, so I could actually hone in on the frequency pretty well and just readjust it every now and again. So that kept me going. All the while I was doing all of this, I was also playing with tape recorders. I had 2 tape recorders, and what I would do is I would record songs off the radio. The RIAA at the time wasn't really an issue. So I'm sure there's some sort of statute of limitations, so I'm probably okay on that one. So I would tape a song off the radio onto my cassette recorder, and then I would lay that cassette recorder next to a second machine, and while I played back the first one, I would sing along. And now we didn't have any phase cancelling karaoke software or anything at the time, so I couldn't partially remove the vocal. So what I had to do was I would mimic the phrasing of the singing. So I would do that, and I would kind of play this for my friends and tell them that this was my band. Now, where the band was and where we rehearsed and all that, I didn't bother to think about that. So that was a good bit of fun. I was also playing around with walkie-talkies at the time, and by the time we were getting into, say, I don't know, 1976, 1977, once we get up to that point, that's when I delved into 11 meters, CB, the Citizens Band, 10-4 Good Buddy, and all that stuff. And while I was doing that, at the school where I was living, it was a residential school, school for the blind in Halifax. I lost my sight in 1974, and in January of 75 went to the Halifax School for the Blind, it was called at the time. So by the time, that year, actually, that's when I first started, I started a band there with some other people in the school, and we would perform at, we did our first show, I think, was at a shopping center, and then we did shopping centers, and coffee houses were big at the time, and we also played at Farrell Hall in Dartmouth. Wonder if that's still there. Anybody knows, let me know if Farrell Hall is still there. That was kind of a middle-of-the-road contemporary type group, and shortly after that we started a bluegrass band and had a lot of fun with that too. But what they did was at the school, they got a bunch of radio equipment, studio equipment. The whole big board, the console with all the flip switches and big old potentiometers on it. Two big strapping turntables, microphones and headphones and cart machines and just all the stuff. It came from VOCM here in Newfoundland, actually, and they shipped it up. As they were replacing their equipment, they shipped up their older stuff to us, and we set up a radio station. And they wired the whole building. Like, this building was a whole city block, and they wired speakers in all the dormitories and all the hallways everywhere throughout the school. So it was a closed-circuit radio station, but boy, I had some pile of fun. The call letters of the station were CFGH, and I learned how to cue records and stack carts and put together programming and introduce records and all that kind of stuff. I cut my teeth in radio at CFGH. And one of the things we used to do as well, we had a program called Hit or Miss. It was what we would do, because we were a radio station, we would be sent records on a regular basis. The new singles of the day, 45 RPMs. They were nice, singles. You would actually have a flip side. You see, with an MP3, it's just the MP3. But with the 45s, we always had a B side, so you could hear the hit on the A side, and then you also had you could just flip it over, and there was another song there. So if we could have flip sides for MP3s, that would be very cool. What we would do is we would have a panel, 4 or 5 of us, and we would, I think it was an hour-long show a week. I think it was on Fridays we used to do it. And what we would do is we would spin the record. In other words, play the record, listen to it. And we would all kind of cast a vote and have a little discussion on whether we thought this song was going to be a hit or not. I remember one in particular came in. This was during the disco was really hot at the time. You know, you'd have all the kind of chicky singers and huge horn sections and huge string sections, a whole orchestra playing with the drums and the bass and the Hammond organs and clavinets and lots of wah-wah pedals and all kinds of stuff. But this one single came our way, and oddly enough, I was the only one on the panel who, I'll never forget this. I was the only one on the panel. It was this new band that nobody had ever heard tell of from out of England. And instead of having all the big horns and the strings and all the whole big heavy setup, it was basically bass, drums, guitar, and a fella singing in a very kind of a gruff kind of way. Almost sort of Dylan-esque in a way. We played that record, and everyone thought for sure, no, they won't go near this. This doesn't have the big produced sound of all the disco stuff at the time. But I really liked it. I was sure this was going to be a hit. It was the group from England at the time. The song had a very odd title. You know, we thought before we put it on that maybe it was like a jazz record or something. We didn't know. It was called The Sultans of Swing by this group that nobody had ever heard of before, with this singing guitar player called Mark Knopfler. And the group was called Dire Straits. So to make a long story short, I gave it the thumbs up. The other 4 gave it a thumbs down, and I think that song was number 1 within a week. By the next week, that's the way these records went at the time. The singles would go out, they would hit the air, and so every Friday when we would play our next barrage of our next battery of singles, we could look back at the week before and see what had happened with the songs that we either threw in the trash or figured would go somewhere. So that was fun. Around this time, I started dabbling with ham radio as well, amateur radio. So I'm in the Citizens Band. I'm doing the stuff with CFGH, and at the same time, I'm dabbling with ham radio. Another great thing at this school was we had a ham shack. We actually had a radio room and antennas up and everything. So not being a licensed operator, I couldn't go up there by myself. It was all under lock and key. But I would go up with licensed operators and listen and actually operate as well under their supervision. So I was actually up and running with ham radio in, say, 76, 77, Didn't actually get my advanced amateur radio operator's ticket until 1984, though. And my call sign, for anybody who wants to know, is VO1. That's the prefix for Newfoundland. RV. VO1RV. VO1RV as in recreational vehicle, raw vegetables, reggae vibes. That's my favorite one. That's my favorite set of phonetics for that. Yeah, so we're still into radio, and music. I'm playing with bands throughout all this time, all through my teens, tooling around with radio. On to 1984, I get my advanced amateur radio operator's ticket, and I do some stuff. In 1985, I go to St. Mary's University in Halifax. Any SMU alumni out there, shout out to you. So I did a show on CFSM, was the station at St. Mary's. And then after that, I came back here to St. John's and went to Memorial University of Newfoundland, MUN. And, excuse me, did a couple of shows over the next few years on CHMR, which is available online in case anybody wants to listen to CHMR. They're streaming MP3 and real audio. And I think it's just www.mun.ca/CHMR. So go and have a listen to some radio streaming over the internet, some campus radio streaming over the internet from St. John's, right here in the heart of Avalon. A couple of years ago, I set up a station on Live 365 called Roots Radio International, and that just became a big pain. It was tedious. It just wasn't what I was looking for. It was too awkward, the way the whole thing was set up and uploading the files and this and that, and they changed some of their policies, and it just got very, very uncomfortable. So I just pulled out of that. So I'm very happy to be here because I always knew I would get back into radio at some point. I figured what I might do is at some point when I get, up in my 40s or some such thing, that I might maybe go to the CBC, the Canadian the Canadian Broadcasting Corporation, and see if I could impress them enough to give me some airtime, to play some world music or some Celtic music or do something, because I just love radio so much that I would have to be doing it in some form or another. But with podcasting, here we are, and I can do it. Right now I'm sitting in my studio, the Root Cellar, where I produce CDs, commercial CDs for artists and groups, and I also work on my own stuff here. And I'm just releasing a new CD on June the 9th at a place in downtown St. John's called Bridie Malloy's. And that's on George Street. Anybody who knows anything about St. John's has heard of George Street. That's where all the fun and the frolics take place. So, there's the new CD. And actually, what I'm going to do for you now that you have a little sense of where we are, where is the Republic of Avalon? Well, it's right here in St. John's. St. John's, the capital city of Newfoundland and Labrador, and most specifically, regionally here, the big city on the Avalon Peninsula. So that's where we get this Republic of Avalon. Now that you know where we are, and you know a little bit about me, and that I'm a complete radio freak, I'm actually a bit of a geek as well. Running about 4 or 5 boxes here in the house, a couple with Linux and Windows XP, and a couple of others. And I have an IRLP node, so any ham radio operators out there, you'll know what that is. IRLP node 7680, by the way. We'll be doing a demonstration of that perhaps later on. IRLP, it's very, very interesting. It's the Internet radio linking project, and it allows people with just a little, kind of a walkie-talkie, a little handy-talkie radio, or a mobile in a car or whatever, to literally talk all over the whole world. I've got a little radio about the size of a bar of soap, and I can just go out and walk down the street and talk to my friends in Philadelphia or Australia, Tokyo. Doesn't matter. And it's all free. It's all absolutely free, no charge. So you gotta like that. Okay, now that you know who we are, where we are, and have somewhat of an idea of what we are, let's kick this off. So much with the introductions. Glad to have you on board. I'd love to hear from you. Later on, I'll give you the information, all the information about how you can reach us by voicemail, email, so on and so forth. We'd love to hear from you. And if you send us audio files, voicemail, or an audio message via email, we just may play your message on the air. I'd love to do that. I'd love to have a section of the show where we play you guys, get you guys into the show. Because otherwise, it's just me sitting around babbling to myself, like I used to when I was a kid with my tape recorders and all that stuff. So some things never change. Anyway, moving right along, this is Republic of Avalon Radio. I'm Jim Fiddler, and this is a song, track 1, the title track of my yet-to-be-released CD, and it's pod safe because I say so. It's my music, and I say it's pod safe. Hope you enjoy it. Here's Midnight Rover from the album Midnight Rover. You're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
is the same as the king. And no matter my fate or what life holds in store, well, I tell you, I'll go midnight roving no more. And it's no, nay, never. No, nay, never, no more will I go midnight roving. No, never, no more.
Okay, well, there it was, Midnight Rover. That was the first track. I started that one last fall, actually. We went to Ireland. We went to Waterford. I went over there to play at the Waterford Arts Festival. And I started to work on that in a studio in Cork, actually, just outside of Cork. And then came back here to Newfoundland and picked up and just, as we would say around here, got face and eyes into the album. So there it is. Hope you enjoyed that. Next, we're going to move on. I'm going to take you into our kitchen. This is myself and my wife and eternal partner in crime, Lillian, and we're just sitting around the table having a good old chat for ourselves. And let's just listen in and see what we're talking about. Okay, here we are in the kitchen. Jim and Lily in the kitchen.
Hello, hello.
That would be Lily, and I would be Jim. We are in St. John's, which is at the most eastern. Pause us and bring up your Google map or whatever, and find Europe and find North America and look right in between the two. Find the west coast of Ireland and then go southwest. Where we are here are actually south of the British Isles, south of Paris. We're on about a direct line with Nantes in the south of France. And running east-west, we're pretty much right in between, say, the west coast of Ireland and Toronto. And as you can tell, I'm not from that place because I don't pronounce it the way the people there do. Toronto, or whatever. We say Toronto. Toronto, that's what we say here. And St. John's is the capital city of Newfoundland. Now, there's another one. It's not Newfoundland, it's not Newfoundland, it's Newfoundland. So we have a little thing that reminds people of the correct pronunciation. What we say is, in a very friendly manner, we say, understand Newfoundland. Just like that. Same syllables, same sort of... the emphasis is on the same syllables. Yeah.
And we are the most eastern point in North America.
Yeah, the very, very eastern tip, closest thing to Europe.
And we have the oldest port in North America as well.
St. John's was a thriving seaport for hundreds of years before that deal went down with Manhattan for the beads and all. And places like Toronto and Montreal were not even dreamt of at that point. And we had the thriving seaport, the downtown of St. John's, the harbour front, is wonderful, and for centuries Portuguese and Spanish and French and English and just all kinds of people hustled and bustled and traded, and Signal Hill overlooks the harbour. It's called Signal Hill because the merchant ships that would come in with their shipments, they would use signal flags to indicate what merchants their their wares were for. Let's say they had a hold full of some stuff for this merchant and some stuff for that merchant. What they would do is they would signal between the hill and the ship who their stuff is for, the merchants and the stuff. So what they would do then is they would send somebody down and notify the merchants that their orders were on the way in the harbour, and they would then get their people to go down and unload. So that's why it's called Signal Hill. But tell the other little bit that why a lot of people think it's called Signal Hill.
Well, people think it's Signal Hill because
Speak up, please.
they think it was where the first transatlantic wireless communication was sent from by Marconi. Received
Yeah.
from Marconi. But that's actually not true.
Well,
Although it was here.
it was
It
here.
was here, it just wasn't on Signal Hill.
It was down below there.
We have a lot of history. And
We do, and it's interesting because we're podcasting here. The first transatlantic wireless message was received right here in this town, in the city, up near Signal Hill, out around in that part of the city for sure, but not up on Signal Hill. Just a tower up there now called Cabot Tower. Actually, yeah, Marconi received the first transatlantic wireless message. It was the letter S in Morse code. And what is the letter S in Morse code, Blossom Chops?
Dit.
Yes. Yes, indeed. See, we're both
haven't forgotten.
we're both ham radio operators, and I got my advance ticket in 1984, and I encouraged Lillian. Would I say encouraged or coaxed or? I think encouraged.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Strong encouragement.
yeah. And she did all the study and did the whole thing, took the course, and did the exam. And she actually got. There's 3 levels of amateur radio, at least here. Let's just call them sort of like a beginner, an intermediate, and an advanced kind of thing. The beginning one gives you certain privileges to operate on certain bands. The second one is your CW, continuous wave, Morse code, which opens a whole lot up for you. There's not really at that point, not really a lot that you can't do. There's a couple of things you can't do, such as setting up repeaters and things like that. But pretty much you have the privileges. You have some power limitations as well, and so on. And the third one is the advanced, which means you can just go mad. You can just go all over the place in all the ham bands and operate satellite and slow scan TV, fast scan TV, IRLP, which I'll be doing a demonstration of coming up in the show, which is the Internet Radio Linking Project, which is very interesting because here we are podcasting, and amateur radio has found a foothold in the internet as well. So with this radio that I have here in my hand, it's about the size of a bar of soap, and the antenna is about as long as it's not even as long as my index finger. I can literally talk to anywhere in the world with my radio, so it's not quite the same thing as being stuck in front of a computer and talking, using Skype or something. I can actually take this radio, walk out my door, walk down the street, get in a taxi, go downtown, and just talk to other amateur radio operators all around the world, which is pretty cool. So anyway, Lillian did all the study, did all the work, took the course, and she, in the one sitting, nailed 2 of the 3 levels. Now they're planning on changing the regulations and loosening up some of the regulations and requirements, and doing away with the Morse code requirement. And that's going to change the whole structure of the advanced. Won't mean quite the same thing, and so on. So I'm trying now with some more of that strong encouragement to get her to just go brush up, because she did so well. She got an 80, 88 or something. 84, 88. She did really well. I was very proud of her.
It was tough, though. But I crammed, actually.
Yeah.
I'm a crammer. But for amateur radio, it's a great hobby, and there's a lot of people worldwide that just love the hobby. But there's also a lot of very practical uses for it. And once you have your license, you have it for life, which is really, I think that's great. And if you're in an emergency situation, if you're anywhere in the world, you can most likely will be able to contact somebody if you're in some kind of an emergency.
There's an advert, actually. I've heard it on another podcast, or where have I heard that? I'd love to get it, and I'd love to play it on the air. It's an ad for amateur radio for 20 years, and then you just go and spend a couple of weeks with them, drive them crazy.
Yeah, it's great for staying in touch when you're traveling.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Ireland last fall, and we're in communication with friends of ours from here and in the States as well. Just a call away, really.
Yeah, little radio in my hand that I was just talking about, and we were in Waterford, in Waterford City, in the southeast of Ireland, which is pretty much Waterford and Cork. That it's really culturally parallel to here. A lot of the people from here, I'd say a vast majority of them, ancestors actually come specifically from that part of Ireland, and that's the reason for this sort of what you might be perceiving as some kind of a watered down, how long has he been in North America, Irish accent kind of thing. That's the reasoning for it. The accent around here. I'm nothing. You should hear some of the older fellas and even younger people from just outside of St. John's here on the southern shore. Very, 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 very Irish. So anyway, sorry, carry on. We were in Waterford and the radio. Oh yeah, well I think you said that kept us in touch.
Yeah, I was just thinking it's actually easier than a phone call, really.
Yeah, well,
in my point of view.
For one thing, you can just be walking down the street. It's kind of like a cell phone. Oh, did I mention that it's free?
Yeah, that's a big thing. Yeah.
It's a big thing.
And it's a great way to meet people as well. We were in Waterford and met up with a guy there, another ham over there, and he came by and had coffee with us.
I needed an adapter, a 220 adapter to charge my battery packs for my HT, for my handy talkie, for that little radio I was telling you about. I had no way of charging it, and so with the little bit of juice that I had, I got on the air and was talking to a couple of the local fellas there, and one of them says, "Sure, I got just the machine you want," and met up with us, and we had coffee, and
yeah. That's the thing too. If you're ever in trouble anywhere in the world, there's another ham around the corner somewhere. Anyway,
this is turning into the ham cast. And what did we have for lunch?
We had ham. It was kind of cheesy too.
It's kind of cheesy, yeah. So this is the cheesy ham cast.
We digressed.
It's not very kosher.
No, but we did digress because we were talking about Newfoundland, and we didn't get to the most important part.
What?
The fact that we are part of Canada, which is very important because it's quite a topic of conversation here.
It's very controversial.
Yeah.
In a nutshell, people say conspiracy theories, and some people shout conspiracy theory if you tell them that a priest or a politician or something might not be quite on the up and up. Well, they just don't want their lives disturbed. They want to carry on with chugging along with their 9 to 5 and fall asleep in front of the TV at 6 o'clock or with their newspaper. But it was highly controversial. They had 2 referenda, which is the plural for referendum, within the space of a month. The first one, we voted for our independence. So, 4 weeks later, they have another one. And after much shouting and some alleged bribing and some alleged gathering up more names off of headstones and so on and so forth, brother against brother, father against son, mother against daughter, it really tore people apart. And the ultimate result was by a squeak, by something like 53%, I think, of the people that voted. We gave up our identity. We gave up our nationhood. We were sold basically from Britain to Canada, and Canada's a great country, so that's fine. It's sort of I think what Canadians would have to understand is it's not anti-Canadian. It's like, let's say for example you were adopted, and there was something bad about the adoption. You love your adopted parents. That's fine. When you're rooting into finding out about your birth parents, for example, it's not a perfect analogy, but it's something that, say, adopted parents have to deal with sometimes when their adopted child wants to know about their actual heritage, their birth mother and father and all that kind of stuff, and find out if they have, what likelihood of contracting various illnesses, and find out culturally where they're from. You might have a wonderful Italian adopted mom and dad, and you might be Irish, and whatever the heck. So bad analogy, but I guess what I'm trying to say is, when it comes to people here and us and our own dignity, knowing who we are, and when we're thought of and described as being the youngest province of Canada, it kind of smacks. It kind of leaves a bitter taste, really, because we were around long before Canada. So it's like we're much older. We've been here over 500 years, and we're supposed to be the baby when actually we're the grandfather. So
Exactly.
I mean, it's ludicrous, really.
There are people here, an older generation here, that still won't say they're Canadian. They're Newfoundlanders.
Absolutely.
That's how strong it is.
Well, I mean, everybody, our generation, people that were born after 1949 are the first generation born as Canadian citizens. So, I mean, all of our parents weren't born in Canada. They were born in Newfoundland. They were born as British subjects, which is a whole other topic for a whole other day altogether, for another podcast. It was that time, when the British Empire was carving, when Britain was carving up the empire, and, they were mucking around, creating Pakistan, dividing India, establishing the state of Israel, and displacing the Palestinian people, just all over Africa and Asia, and Newfoundland was part of that. You don't really hear much about it, but we were part of the same post Second World War carving up of the empire that took place.
Yeah.
So again, I mean, any Canadian listeners, we love you.
Yeah.
We're not saying, we're not anti-Canadian.
Some of our best friends are Canadian.
Some of our best friends are Canadians.
I lived there for a while. We both did.
Yeah.
And something, I don't know if people realize, but the waters around Newfoundland were the richest fishing grounds in the world, and that's
Yeah.
what brought people from all over to come here in the first place. Since when was it? What year was it that they?
The moratorium?
Yeah.
Oh, gee whiz, when was that? 92 or
So
something like that?
it's
Yeah.
pretty
And-
devastating for.
And even still, in everywhere else in Canada, like in Quebec and Nova Scotia, they have this, people going out fishing, harry-carry, whatever. I mean, there are some restrictions. Don't get me wrong, but we've stood by and seen where a Newfoundlander can't go out and get one fish for their family, or they'll be dragged off to jail. While just up the road in Nova Scotia, they're out laughing, drinking beer, and hauling them in hand over fist over the side of the boat. And it's kind of humiliating because, this place was built on the codfish. Jamaican salt fish, that's Newfoundland salted Newfoundland cod. And our national drink is what we call it screech. It's Jamaican rum. So we've had great ties with Jamaica over the centuries as well. And the Archbishop was the same Archbishop was for I guess his diocese or whatever was St. John's and Kingston. So they went. The Archbishop had a house in Jamaica and a house here. And when I was a little wee lad growing up, the first songs that I learned how to sing and so on, when I was very small, were Irish traditional songs and some calypso or pre-calypso mento Jamaican songs that I'd hear some of the old guys, the old fishermen. I grew up in a little small village in Conception Bay, and I heard the old guys singing these old songs, like walk down to the water, then I see come up little daughter. Hear the old Newfoundland, leather-faced fisherman singing these songs, and of course he learned them going back and forth all his life between here and Jamaica and Barbados and so on. And the capital city of Newfoundland, as we said before, where we are now, is St. John's. That's also the capital city of Antigua, spelled the same way, which is quite interesting.
And since Jim just did a little ditty there, I thought I might mention that he's a very well-known musician. I was going to say something else about you. Oh, yes. He's also a drummer and lead vocalist at the same time with a group that's off and on. But he was the drummer and lead vocalist for a reggae band called Pressure Drop.
Oh no, you can't keep a good man down. No, you can't keep a good man down. Don't forget your place in your human race, and you can't keep a good man down.
Yeah.
And that was about 10 years ago, and they did quite well.
We did. We used to play on appear live on Canada's equivalent of MTV, Much Music. We used to appear live on there. We had the #1 independently produced video on Much Music in rotation for quite a period of time, and that was a kind of a People's Choice thing, which is very cool.
Yeah.
We'll play. Why don't we play a song here?
Okay, that would be a great idea.
Which one will we play?
How about something from Mosaic?
No, I was thinking about playing one of the songs
From Pressure Drop?
from the Experience.
Oh, okay.
Well, here's a group that I put together last summer. We started it in the spring, and there are 10 of us. We're kind of in hiatus now, but still together. There's 10 of us. There's horns and female backing vocalists, a percussionist, keyboardist, 2 guitar players, a rock and bass player, and myself on drums and lead vocals. So there's 10 of us, and we're called The Experience. And it was an experience, absolutely. Here's a cut from a show we did. This was our second time playing together live. Here at the Root Cellar down in the basement, we rehearsed and put the material together, and then we played at the St. John's Folk Festival it was the first week of August. That was our first kick at the can. And here's a cut from a recording that we did live at a place called Club One in St. John's in October, just a week before, like 10 days before we went to Ireland. Here's a cut from that show. This is live, recorded off the board, and you're listening to Republic of Avalon Radio.
Little thing called Dumb Illusion. 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Here we go now. This here one is
hands right up toward the sky. The drum and the bass, we gon' make you fly. Now move your 2 hands right down toward the ground. Dance to the beat of this rub-a-dub sound. See them do it in Africa. Watch them do it in China. Do it in Argentina. So them go do it in Russia. Yeah! Hey! Big belly man, don't you cause no fuss. Everyone I got the right to do what they must. You're just another rat in a big rat race. Get up on the floor and I shut your face. Yeah! 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 Mix it up! Rasta man really love it. I really love it. Funko man really love it. Funko man really love it. Now this year one is in a rub-a-dub style. Said all you have to do is if you go wild. Whether you're a woman, man, or a child. Dub illusion is your ultimate style. Hey! 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 Brother Phil on the percussion, give him a hand. And the two girls I like to call I and I, Jamie and Joy. Take a walk on the wild side, yeah. Here we go. Wanna hear everybody sing? Day, me say day, oh.
Can I come and me wanna go home?
Day, me say day, oh.
Can I come and me wanna go home?
Day, me say day, oh. Day, me say day, oh. Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally the banana.
Can I come and me wanna go home?
Come, Mr. Tallyman, tally the banana.
Can I come and
Day, me say day, oh. Come on, I can't hear you. Day, me say day, oh. That was better. Steady, leddy, 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 leddy. Mix it up. Great big bunch of ripe banana. Daylight come and we wanna go home. Pints of my tea, pile of ganja. Daylight come and we wanna go home. Day, me say day, oh. Daylight come and we wanna go home. Day, me say day, oh. Daylight come and we wanna go home. Day, me say day, oh. Daylight come and we wanna go home. Day, me say day, oh.
daylight come and me wanna go home?
Come on, dream blind mice, see how they run. I said they all went up to the carpenter's wife. My covenant with a shoemaker knife. My body never seen such thing in my life. About 3 ragamuffin mice. Brilling diddling whoa, brilling diddling 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 whoa. We stop at brilling diddling diddling whoa, brilling diddling 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 whoa. Hey, God this year one is in a rub-a-dub style. Said all you have to do is make me go wild. Whether you're a woman, man, or a child. Double illusion is your ultimate style. Hey! Yeah! Yeah! Thank you. We got one more before we leave you. Thank you very much.
Okay, there you go. So that was a lot of fun. we had a great time that night. And it's funny because when we got to Waterford, I burned it onto a CD and went into this little place in Waterford, little pub.
McLaughlin's.
So, so a big shout out to all you people. If you might be in Waterford and you know the place we're talking about, McLaughlin's or Alley's, a big shout out to all you guys and gals. Yay! Go Waterford. We love Waterford, and we love Cork as well.
Cork is a beautiful city.
Yeah, there's a whole big thing kind of between Cork and Dublin, and I think that we know plenty of people from Dublin, and Dublin Passy, big up.
Yeah.
But now, I think we're on the Cork side.
It's funny because when we're in Ireland, people we meet. We see people all the time that look like people from here, from Newfoundland. Face and eyes of,
you're walking down the street. Actually, a very well-known singer-songwriter from Newfoundland. He wrote a song called Sonny's Dream, which some of you might know out there. Sonny, don't go away, I am here all alone, and your daddy's a sailor who never comes home, and all that. Actually, the song has been so big for him, it's been recorded by everybody in Ireland, and everyone in Ireland was convinced it was an Irish song. So when you tell people that, a guy from St. John's here wrote it, they go away with you, they wouldn't believe you. So anyway, Ron Hines, he was one of the people that we went to Ireland with in March. We didn't mention we were in Ireland in March, did we?
No.
We can talk about that on the next podcast.
Yeah, because that was very, very interesting.
Republic of Babylon Radio. You're with the roar!
You are with the roar. This is Republic of Avalon Radio. I'm Jim Fiddler. Next, we're going to take you on a little trip down to the pub. We're going to go down to the pub in downtown St. John's, where after a show, when the band is all broken down, we just sat around a table. A bunch of us sat around a table and sang a song, and we hope you enjoy it. This is a song called "Far Away in Australia."
Sweetheart, it's time I must bid you goodbye and murmur to you the one day I'm off to a new land, my fortune to try, and I'm ready to sail away. Far away in Australia, soon will faith be kind, and I will be ready to welcome at last the girl I left behind. Must you depart now, this fair one, they cry, I cannot let you go. Oh yes, I must leave you, she gently replied, just for a while or so. And it's far away in Australia, soon will faith be kind, and I will be ready to welcome at last the girl I left behind. Sadly she waits at the old cottage gate, awaiting the whole day through, until the message comes over the wire, and she's hoping these words are true. Far away in Australia, soon will faith be kind, and I will be ready to welcome at last the girl I left behind. It's been successful and fair love, I will be always true. And while I stay in this land far away, I'll be building a home for you. Far away in Australia, Australia. Soon will faith be kind, and I will be ready to welcome at last the girl I left behind. Try it again. And it's far away in Australia. Soon will faith be kind, and I will be ready to welcome at last the girl I left behind.
Republic of Babylon Radio. You're with the roar.
Republic of Avalon Radio. I'm Jim Fiddler. Glad to have you along. Next, we're going to go into the studio. Well, we're already in the studio. I'm sitting here now. But going to play you a little segment that I recorded. It's a song that's on my soon-to-be-released CD. And I just kind of take you behind the scenes a little bit into the recording studio. And we started out this week with a very simple song. There's not much in the way of instrumentation. But hopefully you'll find it interesting. So with no further ado, let's go into the studio. Okay, here we are in the studio. I guess what we're going to do is go through the creation of a song. It's in standard tuning. Now, I usually tune in something called Dadgad, which I'll be getting onto. Anyway, for now, I'm here to talk about the song for Newfoundland. And one day I picked up my guitar in the kitchen, in the afternoon, having a cup of tea and a little bite to eat for myself. And just picked up my guitar. It's hanging on a claw on the wall in the control room here. I guess you can hear all the computers humming in the background and all the equipment and so on and so forth. Anyway, so I came out to the control room, grabbed the guitar, and went out to the kitchen and sat down. And I was in Dadgad, and I had a strum or two, and interesting. But I suddenly had this idea in my head. The lyrics, the melody kind of started. Do 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 do. Do 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 do. Kind of struck me, and I started strumming it out in Dadgad, and it didn't sound right for some reason. Like I say, I use Dadgad 99.999% of the time. Well, maybe not 99.999, certainly in the 90s, and then the other times I use other tunings, open tunings, and very seldom, very, very seldom do I ever play in standard tuning. So I tuned into standard tuning and found the notes, and it seemed to me that it was in the key of G, and so there's a G chord, but I always have this tendency to put my little finger there, and then my ring finger next to it, so you make a nice fifth. I like firsts and fifths, so I guess that's the Dadgad thing. Anyway, excuse me. The point is, I picked up the guitar, and I just sort of started strumming. Like so. And literally, I just started singing. No coming Messiah, no worldly power from above could ever relieve us, and so on and so on. And then I got to this bit. And so on. So, in short order, very, very quickly, I had myself a tune, or a song, I should say. So, I just had a song. I mean, this is quite literally like while the kettle's boiling. so I had to go over and, restart the kettle again. And I had my cup of tea. I think I grabbed my... I'm recording this right now on my mini disc, just because it's easier. And as the podcasts progress along, I'm going to up the ante a bit. Because, I do have this whole recording studio here, and it's just as well to use the best gear that I can muster for your listening pleasure. So, in any case, right now, just using the mini disc. Yeah, I think I went and grabbed my mini disc because when a song comes to you like that, I guess I'm what you would call an inspirational writer. Some people sit down with pen and paper at pre-scheduled times and kind of do it more from a more, I guess, utilitarian perspective. And I'm certainly not going to knock that, because I think some of the best songs that have ever been written are written that way. The ones where you get into the more inspirational side, that's where you get into more of the I guess the gospel tunes and songs that are dealing more, I suppose, with issues and things going on in the world around us. So me, I just kind of float through the ether. I don't try to make songs happen. They just come to me. It's just a matter, I guess, of being open, and they come, as did this one here, "Song for Newfoundland." I guess where it comes from, the heart of the song really is as a patriot. I'm not a flag waving patriot in the sense that it's not about cheering like at a football game for me. It's more just a love of my country, my home, Newfoundland, and that's what this song is about. But this song is also dedicated to anybody anywhere whose people has had any kind of struggle against colonialism or any sort of undesirable circumstances. Anyway, let's move on. What I want to do here now is move over here to the recording console, which I have right here. I'm hitting some buttons on it here to let you hear it. I'm going to show you how I built this song. Now, I wanted to keep this very simple. I recorded the demo, which was just me like this here, like I was just doing for you a moment ago, and I played it for a few friends whose opinions I very highly value. The consensus seemed to be keep it simple, and well, I'll tell you, as a record producer, as well as a musician, but as a record producer, it's your job to make the thing be what it can be, or what it is. In other words, don't let it go off in the wrong direction. A producer who's doing his job or her job properly is somebody who, for example, a musician, a composer, a songwriter, may have 10,000 great ideas. They have a song, and oh boy, yeah, let's put bagpipes in it. Yeah, let's get let's have the sound of knights in shining armor clashing their sabers in the background, and horn sections and this and that. Some songs, yeah, absolutely. Some songs, let's go. Let's bring in the symphony for it. But other songs are more simple, more powerful, I would say, from a simpler delivery. It's almost the more you put in it, the more you take from the song. And that really depends, that varies from song to song. So what you really have to be able to do, and where it's easier for a producer to do this on behalf of a composer or a musician, is that they have the objectivity, and they're almost the buffer, the filter, on behalf of the song before the people get a chance to hear it. So that's, I would say, what a good producer's job is, if done well. In any case, I'm in this situation where I'm both. I'm the producer, or not both, I suppose. I'm the producer, the musician, the composer, the arranger, all that stuff. But what I have to do, my secret that I've found to making that work, is I listen to the song. The song always tells you. What you do is you just take it in your mind, just from the most stripped down elements. You just take the song itself, and you let the song say, right here. What right here? I need something here. need a lift. I need strings. Maybe not even strings. It could be a flute quintet or God knows what. Whatever. Or I in other situations, other circumstances, the song will say, all I want you to do is just sing this with the guitar and tap your foot. And I'm saying to myself, but what about, I got this, I can hear this bass line and the drums, and the song says, no. So it really, really all depends. And I've had it go the other way too. I've had songs that I've wanted to do just very, very, very simple. And the song itself says, no, I'm bigger than that. Please, just work with me. And my new album, that's soon to be released next month, was a whole process of me being pulled around by the nose by the friggin' album and by the songs themselves. I've never been so browbeaten in my life. Right from the get-go, after a trip to Ireland last fall, I came back with no intentions of making this album at all. And next thing, I was overwritten, as though my implanted chip had been activated by the mothership or some such thing. It's been a wonderful experience. Anyway, I do babble. Let's get on with this here. This is very simple. I think all I'll do is just show you how it evolved. I started out with this one guitar, as I showed you earlier, and what I did was I recorded that track. I'll just start that track playing for you now. Alrighty. There's the guitar. So that's, you'll probably you can hear that in the left if you're listening in stereo on your iRiver or whatever. What do we call these things? Rivercasts. Anyway, that's that one guitar. And I laid down that guitar track, and then I went ahead and brought in the second guitar track. Here it is right here. So now you can hear those two guitar tracks together. So what I did, of course, was when I did lay down the first guitar, I put on my headphones and played back the first one, which I recorded on track 1, and then I laid down the second guitar track on track 2. And now I'm just going to mix in here a little bit. You'll hear it coming up in the background. The only thing I added in other than the guitar was this little bit of soft organ in the background. Just let you hear it for a second here.
We're a builder of nations. Let us build on the rock and not on sand. In the land of our fathers, in desolate places, we know we have always found our bread. In the love of our mothers, and we've been told that we're just not loud enough. So long, so long. And we've been told that we're just not proud enough. So wrong, so wrong, so wrong.
Okay, so this is a very simple song. So we have guitar 1, guitar 2, and the little keyboard there, a little bit of keyboard. and just the one vocal. That's just the way the song wanted to be. Now, it may tell me at some point in the future it wants to be more, and if so, I shall comply.
No coming Messiah, no worldly power from above could ever relieve us.
Okay, so I'll just hit stop, and that's it. This was, as I said, a very simple song. In any case, I hope you've enjoyed it. If you have any questions, feel free to send email to Republic of Avalon Radio, all one word, all lowercase, and Avalon is Avalon. So, Republic of Avalon Radio at gmail.com, and have a look over to the website. www.republicofavalonradio.com, and look under show notes, and I'll put in there all the details from the show. And until next time, it's so long from the Root Cellar. Messiah, no worldly power from above could ever relieve us. No prophesied failure will take us from who and what we love. You'd better believe us, 'cause we've been told that we're just not good enough. So long, and we've been told that we're just not strong enough. So wrong, so wrong. We're a builder of nations. Let us build on the rock and not on sand. In the land of our fathers, in desolate places, we know we have always found our bread in the love of our mothers. And we've been told that we're just not loud enough. So long, and we've been told that we're just not proud enough. So wrong, so wrong, so wrong. Messiah, no worldly power from above could ever relieve us. Okay, that's about it for this week. Thanks to everybody for subscribing. Our website is at www.republicofavalonradio.com. You can reach us, go up and visit and have a look at the show notes and say hi. You can send us email, and we love to get your email, at either Jim Fiddler, 1D, JIMFIDLER, jimfiddler@gmail.com, or republicofavalonradio@gmail.com. You can leave us voice mail on Skype. If you're a Skype user, it's just simply Republic of Avalon Radio, all one word, all lowercase. Or you can call us on the good old telephone and leave us a voicemail at area code 724-426-8176. This has been the first episode of Republic of Avalon Radio. I'm Jim Fiddler. Very glad to be here. Everyone take care. Have a great week, and we'll see you next time on The Roar.